a Moorish fiat note.
Forget fiat. Let's do something better than fiat.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to come to have our energies mean something to us.
Why don't we just trade gold and silver? You know,
that's what we've been talking about.
This is what I do. Ultimately. This is what I do. I don't buy. Like I was telling brothers, when I have excess money, it's gold and silver, bro. I don't waste no time with no stocks, no bonds, no tax-free saving account. Because look at Cyprus, man. That could be gone in a second, let alone devalued and you're sitting with toilet paper.
But that's happening already.
Of course it is. Which is why we're hedging ourselves with this.
Yeah, but again, too.
But let me interrupt for 1 second, because you gave me and that's a video I gotta even give to you, the one with the
money masters.
The money masters. Because at the end of the day, the gold standard is the one thing that they're controlling us with, because they have all of it. They have 95% of it.
So we gotta eat up as much as we can.
No, but the next step is to because really the value is in our energy. It has nothing to do even with the gold and the silver. Because once you put it into the gold and the silver, they've got it.
They've got it.
So what it really comes down to is, you see, the work that you put in, that energy is priceless. So once we can use that energy, you go build a house, you go help a man out with psychology, whatever. You can't put a dollar value on it. But as long as we work in our community and make that our stuff,
and this is why
that's.
But here's the thing: that only works. That system only works. That's the only true system. You're right, but that only works once you have a grasp on land. Because that energy must be used to make food, first of all, to sustain human life.
That's right.
But we don't have land, so it's all freaking crown land on their nonsense.
The crown land is on paper.
Of course.
Yeah, but so they don't have no land. We do have the land. Our problem is
we haven't exercised it.
We haven't exercised the fact that we have it.
Exactly.
So the only way that we are going to exercise it is, one, that we come together.
Right.
Forget about the Negro, Black, Christian, Muslim,
We know that.
So it's about just getting to do what we're supposed to do.
But in the meantime,
right? In the meantime, we're under occupation.
So we have to be smart while we're under occupation.
Yeah, we're under occupation.
So instead of trading my energy that's priceless, like you say, for something worthless like toilet paper, right? The logical thing is, they control most of the gold, right? But there's still gold out there for us to trade. And the thing is,
100%.
Gold has intrinsic value. It's true value.
Yeah,
there's only so much of it. But here's the thing: instead of trading my energy for paper, while I can, I'm going to trade it for what I can.
Right.
That's the most
value. Most definitely.
So, but that's fundamental.
But remember, even if we go trade for gold, right? So we take, let's say, from now, for the next 5 years, we take every check and we get gold, right? So now we have this gold stacked up now, right? We're not going out there and spending this to get change.
No.
So we're still backed up.
Here's the next logical step.
It's a reserve.
No, not necessarily, because all of us, we get together, unity, like you said, all right, and we all get on the same page. Let's say there's only 50 of us. Right,
go on.
And we're all doing the same thing, where we all have a little bit of gold and silver now. Whenever we do business, we do it with each other. We start our own micro economy. You understand?
That's the answer.
But what we're trading is not worthless toilet paper. We're not. The energy is priceless, like you said. But now we're investing that energy into something that maintains its value. Because as you know, gold and silver do not change value. So there's only a certain amount of it. The paper loses and gains value, which means you got to use more paper to buy or less.
But remember, there's other natural resources.
Definitely, gold is an example, but it's a solid example.
No, but let me explain this to you. What I feel, and after watching this video, it made sense to me. The reason why they then pushed gold and silver was because of all the other reasons that gold and silver comes into it, like for jewelry, for the ability to transfer electricity. So they've got you believing in stuff and because it's and the reason why they've done that is because it's a limited value. It's like the oil. That's why they have oil as being the issue. We already have sustainable energy that we don't need fucking oil. But what they do is they have you dancing around every weekend to see whether you're paying $1 or $1.50 for some bullshit. So we got to take that. That's what this whole video says. You got to take that shit out of all of their hands, because the instant you're playing around with something that has a limited stake, then someone is going to take control of that.
But here's the issue with a limited stake,
We got like
the
2
difference
minutes
between
left on
fiat, no doubt, the difference between fiat and bullion
Mhm.
is that fiat, they can make an unlimited supply.
For sure.
And
Most
so it
definitely.
has no intrinsic value. When
Right.
something has a limited amount, you cannot manipulate its value.
Okay,
You
but watch this,
understand? So the issue, your point is right.
Right.
But the issue is, we have to have something to invest our energy in so that we can start our own microeconomy.
And
And,
this
like
is
you
what-
said, it doesn't matter if it's gold or any other
Yeah.
limited natural resource,
Yeah.
it can be used.
Right.
But right now, the most feasible is gold and silver because
Yeah.
it's traded internationally
Okay, right.
since the
Granted, but
beginning.
it comes back again that we go full circle, right, to Noble Drew Ali. That if, just like we're saying, if we're gonna put all of our energy into something, why don't we put it all into our freedom? Why
And
don't we take all that energy, right?
Mhm.
Forget about buying gold, silver, or whatever. How about we put all of our energy into pushing Noble Drew Ali's program?
We can, but we still got to eat at the same time. So this is
Yeah,
part of it.
granted,
This is
but
part of
remember,
it.
we're new Moors with our eyes wide open, seeing and knowing, like what Noble Drew Ali's talking about.
Mhm.
So certain things that we're talking about things that are 50, 80 years away from now. Because we were supposed to be doing what you're talking about since 1913.
So we should start doing it now,
Right.
Because the microeconomy is part of getting free.
Right.
You understand?
You are 100%. Listen,
You know what I'm
100%.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I'm not saying you're wrong either.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
both-
yeah.
the both-
Sure,
You see,
sure.
you know, the bigger problem with that is that we have issues with even just us getting together on the same page.
Exactly, but what we have to do is the ones who are on the same page. Like it's everything starts with one person.
Oh, I agree.
You understand?
It always starts
And
with the small.
what we have here, we have 5 people, right?
You got the freaking thing, bro.
Yeah,
You
it's
understand?
still good.
But I
Go on,
have it
go
in
on,
my
go on.
email. Because you just need the
Oh,
number.
make sure all
Yeah,
yours is here.
I think that's it. I'll
Yeah,
ask you
come.
still.
I email it to you.
So,
Email it.
So here's the thing. If we have to start with 5 people on the same page, starting to invest in gold and silver, and bringing in other people who are satellites, maybe they're not on the same page 100%,
Right.
and we start building up the awareness and setting an example between just 5 of us.
Yeah.
My man's in the food business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you lead a catered event or something, and you know the man deals with gold and silver, share with him in gold and silver. You know what I mean?
But even if we don't go that route yet, the fact that he's in the food business, how about we just deal with him with what we have,
That's
with what we have right now,
And work towards
and then
that.
work towards
Exactly.
the gold and silver,
Exactly. Everything
right?
have to start
Like
somewhere.
everybody who we know that has something, right? That
Know
is
them.
coming from the community, whatever. Yeah,
Know them.
just like how Mr. Chin
Every
does,
come from seed,
just like
bro.
Mr. Chin
So
does,
let's
just
start with
like
small thing first.
Pakistani man does, Sri Lankan,
Yeah,
Jewish,
yeah,
whatever. They're using
That's what
fiat,
the
they're
problem
using
is.
gold
We're
and
the
silver.
ones who
That's what it
go
comes down
outside
to.
of our own community to
That's what it comes down to.
But yeah, and why are we the only people that go outside and whatever? Because we don't have no nationality.
Of course, we have no unity, we have no identity.
Everybody else has the
He needs
identity.
to serve. The last
and
thing I
then
want
we
to say
don't.
too, what they said is after 1965, they've been cutting the silver too, right?
Yeah,
Remember this,
right, even
Sil-
that
the,
too.
the silver ain't even pure anymore.
Yeah.
After
Unless
1965
you get it from legitimate.
No, but it has to be
main
before
things like that.
1965 is when they stopped cutting.
That's in the coins and stuff.
The coins,
That's in regular issue
Yeah,
coins.
yeah, I just-
bullion is separate.
Okay.
Bullion is legit. It's
Okay.
only it's minted. You know what I mean? So that's why it's a separate.
Standard,
It's called
yeah.
bullion as opposed to currency. You know what I mean?
All right, Islam.
Islam.
Let's do this up. First up, we're gonna plug again. Moorish Divine and National Movement presents "We Are a Nation." Same thing you talk about. The National Census and Registration Drive. The National Mall, Washington D.C., October 20th, 2013. Confirmed. Centennial Commemoration, 100 Years of Moorish Science, 1913 to 2013. One day, you are going to look into the streets, and the streets are going to be filled with men with turbans and fezzes, and the highways are going to be blocked. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. For more information, Centennial Director, L. Austin Bay. Day number 202-696-0088. 202-696-0088. Evening number 202-725-2686. M. Kirkland L. 301-852-4597. National Grand Sheikh Kenny Umar Bey, 312-888-5486. Grand Governor, Indiana, Jabbar Gainesville, 260-241-4080. And B. Graham Bay, 410-935-9846. So that's October 20th, 2013. It's requested that the Moors show allegiance to their nation and manifest the prophecy of Noble Drew Ali of one day you're going to look into the streets, and the streets are going to be filled with men, which includes women, with turbans and fezzes, and the highways are going to be blocked. October 20th, 2013. Next thing, this weekend, May 26, 2013, 4 p.m. at the Moorish Science Temple of America Lecture Hall, 1704 Eglinton Avenue West. The second installment or lecture by Brother Fontes L. from Moors versus Police on YouTube. Emergency Preparedness, Dehydration, and the Way to Wealth is the title of the lecture. So you already know, we're not going to be holding back anything. We know we're not going to be streaming it, but by Monday or Tuesday, it's going to be on YouTube. So keep your eyes open for that. I want to say Islam to good brother in Colorado, Brother Badal Bey. He sent me this article today. We're just going to see what's going on out there. Colorado sheriffs upset with gun restrictions adopted in the aftermath of last year's mass shooting filed a federal lawsuit Friday challenging the regulations as unconstitutional. The lawsuit involves sheriffs from 54 of Colorado's 64 counties, most representing rural, gun-friendly areas of the state. The sheriffs say that the new state laws violate Second Amendment protections that guarantee the right to keep and bear arms. Opponents are criticizing the lawsuit as political maneuvering. The filing targets Colorado laws that limit the size of ammunition magazines and expand background checks. The regulations passed the legislature this spring and are set to take effect July 1st. It isn't yet clear whether the sheriff's challenge will delay or jeopardize the law. The filing, however, guarantees the renewal of a fierce debate over gun control. Colorado lawmakers passed the restrictions in reaction to the shooting rampage at a suburban Denver movie theater last summer, where 12 people were killed and dozens were wounded, and the massacre at an elementary school in Newton, Connecticut. The gun control debate was one of the most emotionally charged of the legislative session, with lengthy debates and national attention. President Barack Obama added to the attention of the Colorado State House as an administration unsuccessfully pushed Congress to enact similar gun control. And then it goes on and it goes on. And that's from foxnews.com. Colorado sheriffs sue over new state gun restrictions. So the sheriffs are suing the state.
Just keeping it real.
Right? The sheriffs are suing the state because the state laws are unconstitutional and they violate their constitutional right to bear arms. Right? So if the sheriffs could stand up for the Constitution, right? And remember, this is 2013. Noble Drew Ali said in 1913, enforce Constitution, enforce Constitution, enforce Constitution. Oscar DePriest, the so-called first black congressman of Chicago, came out, made the same thing. Constitution is something that should be taught in every school. Every church, every organization should have a Constitution on their wall, teaching that to everybody that's a member.
The enemy is studying like crazy.
Right.
Obama was a constitutional lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Why is he a constitutional lawyer when he's the biggest constitutional breacher?
Right.
Because they find the loopholes in the Constitution they can exploit.
And once they find those loopholes, they're going to exploit. Right? They're going to exploit. That's just politics.
Someone was bragging about it during the election campaign.
Yeah.
Constitutional lawyer. Who do you think is going to oppose it?
Yeah. But remember, even though he's a constitutional lawyer and he's, you know, supposedly breaching all these constitutional things, he's breaching them under the guise of a corporation, not a legitimate government. Posing as legitimate. And as well, he took an oath to uphold the Constitution. So if he's violating it, the people need to be doing something about that.
But just like Bush, there was a slip up when he did his oath. That wasn't by accident.
And again, that means just like Brother Daweed was talking about in the lecture on Sunday, that if there's a slip up in his oath to the Constitution that he's supposed to uphold, right? And that's void. That means the government goes back to the people.
The government is void.
And the people need to start exercising as the government because they don't have any position.
Right? We know this too, that the government's already been void since back when they became, when they declared their bankruptcy, right?
Since DC.
Or when they sold out their seats to the IMF.
They've been void. Those seats have been vacant.
Since DC.
Right? And again, comes back again, everything's 360. Why Noble Drew Ali came, set up the Moorish Divine National Movement, has, you know, Grand Sheikh and all these different titles, always talking about the grand body of the Moorish nation and all this type of stuff, you know, proclaiming your nationality, talking from a national perspective, because he knew since that time, being that he's a prophet, that this stuff's gonna fall. And we need to have a nationality so we can take the government back, because you're not taking the government back as Negro, black, colored, whatever we call ourselves. Like, it's not happening. Because the government, Barack Obama said so himself, you know, with all the arms outs that he's doing, he said himself that the United States Constitution was founded on Muslim law.
Of course, on Sharia.
Yeah, and then when Christopher Columbus came over here, there was a mosque on the hill that the people came down from the mosque on the hill onto the shore to come talk Arabic to the guys who were on the boat with Christopher Columbus, proving that this land deals with Islam.
It's a Muslim land.
Like,
that's the bottom line. What I tell people.
Always been
Muslim land. You know what I mean?
Right?
We ain't been brought here. This is
right,
our.
You know, I had a thought that basically, since they've been running this fraud for the last however long, right? Come 2000, which was the changing of the age of Aquarius, right? They had to put a facade out there. The facade was Obama and his wife, right? They have them to the rest of the world, because remember, we live here, right? So we never see the real stuff going on out there. They're always, that's what the news and all that stuff is about, right? They've always got that shelter. So what they do is they have this facade as if somehow the Muslims are back in power.
Right.
That's why they have, to me, that's why they have them all now with the footage you see them
with the
flag and stuff. And that's why they went back to sign all that shit to prove to the rest of the world they're trying to put the facade out that they're now running legitimate government.
That's why he made his big speech about his Muslim religion and all this type of stuff.
That's
right. But again, right?
Because it's true. Go ahead.
Keep in mind that he knows, they know that this is Morocco over here. They know that this is Morocco. And they know that they're not the government. So are they really putting up a guise, or are they really telling the real government, which is the people, to step up and take your stuff back?
They're nefarious.
They are setting back. They're putting the government back.
They're putting the government back in place, but the people aren't ready.
But they're nefarious, though. Why would a nefarious, bad-minded, fraud government willingly just give up the thing?
Because they have no choice. They've been bankrupt since 1933.
You know, because I also believe
before that they've been bankrupt.
I also believe they know that we're, like you're saying, that we're not smart enough to step back up to it. So really, what's going to happen is they're just going to continue to put their puppets into position.
But they're using it. There's an end game that they're.
Oh, I agree.
They're milking the whole world out of it.
100%.
So why would they want to just give back this machine they created?
Because I think, to me, what I think it is, it's on a karmatic level. They have to do that.
But they don't business about karma.
Yeah, they do. Because karma hits them too. Just like they can play around and be put planes in the sky, chemtrails and all that, but they're breathing the same air we're breathing.
But they use that Hegelian principle where for every good have to be a bad. So that's why when they do charity and stuff like that, that's the balance of the karma.
Yeah, but that's not. But they know that that's not balanced on karma, because the same money that they put into charity, the president of that corporation is stealing that anyway.
Yeah.
And they know that.
And he's one of their boys.
And that's their boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right? All of them across the board, they know that.
But I feel
Right?
honestly.
Oh wait, but here's the last thing that touched me too. You remember you just saw this tornado in Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm.
You see, when it's going to get to what I'm saying to you is going to be cut. There was another video that we watched where it was talking about divine. Divine. The first statement in divine is nature.
Okay.
Nature.
Right. Just as you said that, right? The other article that I got from Brother Badal, right, was that the Oklahoma tornado was in a county called Moore County. Right? Bunch of Europeans there though.
Yeah.
But Moore County. So what's nature? You know, and then you talk about nature. What's nature really saying?
And what I'm saying to you, what my belief is that it's not. That's why I say about karma. At the end of it all, it's not going to be us or a human experience. It's going to be a natural thing. It's going to be, to me, what I believe. I heard this thing on the radio. The reason why there's so many condos going up here is because ultimately, every 600,000 years or something, there's a huge cataclysmic event. Mm-hmm. And that next event is going to be burying America. Of course. Right? It's going to come along that line. And so what they're doing now is they're preparing for that by building tons of shit up here to be ready for that. The other theory could be that they're just trying to empty out the accounts too and make sure they're building on the line to have 9/10 law of ownership, right?
Right.
That property.
And that's more of a nefarious thing. And that's what
that's what you know, that they're always got about 3 or 4 hands in the pot.
They've always got plan B and C and D.
Right.
And then C. And 1, 2, 3. But the thing is, I honestly still believe that they're nefarious and they don't want to just give up goods, man. They're gonna run that thing into the ground, and then once it's in the ground, then they'll play the Mr. Nice Guy and say, yo, here, have your things back. It's ruined. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but and then when that goes down,
we gotta be on our P's and Q's, make sure we can pick it up and build it back to its former glory.
Simple as that.
Well, that's what they've been doing by robbing all the gold to begin with.
See that? And not only here, but all over the world. When they went into Iraq, what they do in the ancient Babylon? They go in there and rape everything.
Yeah.
As if it wasn't raped already, but they went back for the stuff that they just discovered this significance of.
But we do that. But we all goes back to that same thing, that if we're gonna say that they're diabolical and they're nefarious or whatever, we have to look at ourselves. We created those people. Mm-hmm. Those people didn't come from, nature like us. We made those people. So if we made those people, then.
And what I realized too, what's really scary for me? This is what I realized, and it's coming to me. You see, they're half us, right? Because they had to take the egg from the female us to create them. They mixed with the egg. So half of them was us, right? To begin with. Right. That's why they have that higher thinking part, right? But the problem is that other thinking part, that really nasty part. Some of that probably had to come from us too.
Right, most definitely.
And that's the part that, what I think is the part that has sort of been manifested in us, when we really hate each other.
Comes out how it comes out.
As it comes out. We're in our own neighborhoods, killing each other.
We're all from the same source, we all have the same tendency, except some people have a tendency, when you see a kid in the schoolyard with a bag of candy, and the kid that don't have no candy, he's scheming. We had it, they're scheming, and now they're looking for spite.
But here's the thing: the man with the whole bag of candy ain't looking to share the candy either.
But we were. So even though we were willing to share, they still had spite for us, because check this, my daughter, right, 14-year-old daughter. I've been schooling her, right, about the Moors and thing, and tell her, she's got her new name and everything. You know what I mean? Right. She have a best friend in school who's Portuguese. She go to their house and she don't talk to the kids her age. She talk to big people. She more the kids her age. Right? I've been talking about big things since she was young. She talking to her friend's Portuguese dad about stuff. Brings up Moorish nationalism. Yeah. The Portuguese pops come on and say, yeah, of course, everybody knows the Moors first on every land.
That's what my girlfriend was Portuguese said. She's like, the Moors, they were back home.
Everybody knows except us, like the man has been saying
for almost 1,000 years. They dominated Spain, Portugal, and other parts of France for almost 1,000 years.
Right.
And like I said, the white or brown, because they're not white. Portuguese people are white, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But admitted both face them right there. Yeah, we know that. Everybody knows that.
Exactly.
You know, but he just didn't add the rest of the sentence except you guys.
Right.
But that's what he's implying.
Right. So we continue on. What is the story behind the creation of the land grant that became the Baca Location Number 1, i.e. the Baca Ranch, and later the Valles Caldera National Reserve? The main boundaries of the piece of land that became Valles Caldera National Preserve exist partially because of a historical event that happened in Spain in the 13th century AD, the Battle of Las Navas de Tolosa, which took place July 12, 1212. This was a decisive battle of the Reconquista, a long period in the Middle Ages in which various European kingdoms gradually expelled the Moors from the Iberian Peninsula. In 1212, the Moorish army was situated to the south of Sierra Morena mountains in Andalusia, southern Spain. The Moors had blocked the Despenaperros Pass through the mountains, and consequently the Sierra Moneras served as a seemingly impenetrable fortress defending the Moors from the Spanish army to the north. However, a local shepherd named Martin de Alhaja knew of a pass through the Sierra Morenas unknown to the Moors, through which the Spanish army might penetrate the mountains and surprise the Moorish army on the other side. Alhaja informed the Spanish of this route and said he would place a cow's skull in the pass to mark the secret route for the Spanish army. The Spanish did not find this marker and pierced the mountains through this hidden pass, defeating the Moors in the Battle of Las Navas de Tolosa. King Sancho VII of Navarre, a kingdom that includes what is now Pamplona, Spain, subsequently awarded Martin Alhaja the title Cabeza de Vaca, which means cow's head in Spanish. There is an untold and sort of hush-hush history about the Moors that's like a big secret. Truth is, the Moors were and are the aboriginal and indigenous inhabitants of the North, Central, and South America, Mexico, Canada, and all of the adjoining islands. The ancient Moorish Empire extended at one time from Africa and Europe to the Americas, anciently referred to as Amexem. The Moors inhabited the shores of Africa and the Americas, North, South, Central, Mexico, and all the adjoining islands, when the lands were still connected before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. The Moors are those descendants of the Africans who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. The present Moroccan Empire, not kingdom, which is in the east, Al-Maroc, was established on the shores of America before the Kingdom of Morocco established in 1958. There was a man known as Noble Drew Ali, aka Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, who represented the Moors at the Pan-American Conference in Havana, Cuba in 1928, and the Moors were recognized as the de jure holder of the titles of grants to the land. Research Moors and Spanish land grants. Seek out the Marrakesh Treaty between America and the Emperor of the Moroccan Empire, which compromises all the Moorish kingdoms of America, Al-Maroc, Africa, and anywhere in the diaspora. Submitted by John Weinberger, February 6, 2007. And then, as we spoke about before, we're just going to pass these around just so you can see the extent that Europeans go to dress up like Moors when they have their Christian Moorish parades in Europe or whatever, right? To show that they're not dressing up like themselves during the Dark Ages or whatever. They're dressing up like the Moors, parading down the street in fezzes and turbans.
What's the dominant culture?
Right? They go elaborate.
Look at that's gold face right there.
Right? They go elaborate.
Look like some Turks.
They go hard just to prove that there were these people called the Moors, and we honor and respect and.
Well,
you know what I mean?
But even goes further. They were in the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages meant they didn't have any. They didn't have light. It was the Renaissance era that we brought them the light.
Exactly.
Now the only and this is what I think is where it's at. The only value they can bring is our value.
Yeah.
Like in that, sorry, I'm not using the right language.
No,
but
no, I hear you.
The only information and light they have is what we gave them.
They just recycle it.
Right.
So it has to be ours.
Right. Right. So today's we start getting into this information for today. Today's presentation is Moorse Code, the Moorish Connection to Hip Hop, Part 2. So we did the first one, so if you haven't seen the first one, make sure you go check out Moorse Code, the Moorish Connection to Hip Hop. Right? And then what we're going to start with today is we're going to start from prior to hip hop, because we know that the genre of hip hop music includes all music, right? And all music is included in the genre of hip hop because hip hop producers sample everything. There's nothing that is excluded when we talk about hip hop. So we're just gonna go through all these pictures just to prove that there's a reason why, you know, this renaissance of the Moors returning is coming back. So this is a group called Jesse Melvin. Oh yeah, and also too, I want to say honors to brother Amore, because he's the one that actually sent me. He sent me 2 pictures, and those 2 pictures sent me on excursion. Online excursion, yeah, right? Online excursion, and some of these stuff that, you know, there's some of these stuff that I seen, you know, I never seen before, and this was blowing me away. So I had to present the findings, right? So the first one is Jesse Melvin and the Sharp Tones. If you haven't heard about them, YouTube them, Google them, or whatever, right? This is Jesse Melvin and the Sharp Tones, right? Fez is up, right? Now, obviously, you know, with brothers. Now, as we're going through these, just keep in mind that at this same time, there's lynchings going on, and slavery going on, and buffoonery, and right, just like today, you know, just like we have God Hop movement, right, where, you know, there's MCs that are talking about real issues and whatever, and then you have the squares, right, that's talking foolishness, you know, and getting paid millions or whatever, right? Rocking with the chic of the blues, right? Chuck Willis, okay, wearing the turban with the jewel on there, just like Noble Drew Ali has, right? So all these people are they're on some type of degree of knowledge if this is going to be your imagery that you're putting out. Now, when I was doing the research of Chuck Willis always wore his turban, like always had the turban on, and it was said that he's like, he was like a sex symbol because he was a brother wearing a turban, basically. Right? Right? So Chuck Willis.
So you know what's interesting with this one? You notice how the tassels are pinned, right?
Yeah, the tassels are,
So
right.
This might be alluding to the Shriners, right?
Right.
And Mama's son.
Right. Right.
So what, that they're Shriners?
No, well, what they say is with the tassel being pinned down, you could maybe dig it
Yeah,
into further. It sort of says that they've only reached a certain degree of
They're still
knowledge.
under
Yeah,
control.
they're still under some type of, you know, but
free yet.
right,
Yeah,
and then,
free
you
yet.
know,
That's
and
why
if
you can see they're all like pinned to the side,
Right.
to the right side. I think it's the left side
Right.
that's supposed to be even.
They're
Yeah.
still working their way up. They haven't
Right,
got there
right.
yet.
yeah, you know, they're just entered apprentice,
Novice level.
novices, right? Sun Ra and the orchestra.
Sun Ra.
Sun Ra.
For real.
Sun Ra, right? And then you see the orchestra in the back. They got their fezzes on, right? And then, you know, there were some other pictures of Sun Ra. And then here's Sun Ra right here, right? With his turban again, with the jewels, you know, and keep in mind, you can go back and watch the lecture with the Skype with Brother Jabbar Gaines Ill, when Brother Jabbar was talking about the elder that was explaining that the turban is one of the most like dignifying headpieces.
It's a crown.
Yeah,
And this one too, there's got 5
see a
stars,
crown.
right?
Yeah,
Only no
right.
Only a free man can wear a turban.
Okay, some folk art of Sun Ra. Then there he is in his turban, and then the star halo behind him has 7 points on it,
And the left hand salute.
right? And then he has the hand up, Islam, right? 5 on the left, just like in the wars, doing their prayers, right? And we got about 50 pages of these to go through, so we're just warming up right now. Bud Powell, right? All this is just things that you go online and you just blues and fezzes, jazz and fezzes, jazz and turbans, blues and turbans. That's all I was googling, and then all these pictures coming up with these people I never seen ever before in my life ever.
67.
Right? Yeah, mainly, right? That was Bud Powell, right? You might be familiar with this man, Lonnie Smith. I remember my pops used to have some of his records. I used to always wonder who's this Indian man that he has records. But the straight brother, right? Lonnie Powell and Lonnie Smith also always wore his turban, right? And you see him with that little dashiki right there. He's one of the album covers. If you got any record stores around, you want to go get something. Funk Reaction, right? And not only was he turban up, right? But also too always had his, right? So there's a pattern of fezzes and turbans today, right? This is the pattern, fezzes and turbans. And these were the times, again, when there was black stuff going on, right? Some of these people might even call themselves black, but they're dressing up like Moors.
Were they mostly exempt from most of the nonsense? Did they get it, claiming their nationality like this? Did the police recognize that? And you know what I mean?
Well, really don't know, to be honest, right? There was no documented there probably is I didn't really research that hard, right? To really find out, their story, life story, what they've been through, whatever. But like for example, Lonnie Smith, Smith's a European name, so he's not out there or nothing. But it's about the message that they're sending, right? And who are they sending the message to? Because the picture tells 1,000, 10,000, 50,000 words, and words don't mean nothing.
And Lonnie Smith could just be used for.
Yeah, that could just be alias. Yeah, that could, just like how Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali said, Noble Drew Ali. And everybody's running with that name like that's his name, when that's not even his name.
People don't even know who El-Hajj is.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, this too. A lot of the times with these music tunes, they'll give you the name.
Right.
That you should use.
That
we're gonna push.
Right. Like I told you before, when I was in broadcasting school, part of the course was picking your screen name.
Screen name.
There does have a certain ring to it.
Yeah, because it's not norm to use your name, your real or your corporate
so
on air, because someone don't like what you're saying, they're gonna come look for you.
All right, so that's right in tune with this next one, right? That's right in tune with this next one, right? The Mighty Hannibal. His album's called Hannibalism.
Which they used to call cannibalism. Right. Still call it that.
The Mighty Hannibal. And again, coming back to blues and all that again, right? Turban up, and also too remember that once you see turban with the triangle in the front, that's Moorish. Because the concept is to have your pineal gland open, not to block off your pineal gland.
Third eye.
Yeah, keep your third eye open. Keep your third eye open to receive and to emit frequencies. Right? This next one is Little Ed and the Blues Imperials. Right? And now when you Google Little Ed, all his pictures, he has feathers. Camouflage fez, tiger print fez, like accessorizing fez. You know what I mean? Fez of every single color. Fez of every single pattern, design, whatever. He just had fezzes. Right? Yeah. Right? Here's another one of them. Right? Here he has the, this is probably where X-Clan got the leather fezzes from that they were wearing. Yeah, because here's the leather fez that he's dropping right now. Right? Again, this is all hip hop, right? Nina with her turban.
Nina Simone.
Yeah. And remember, we're going back to the same thing with the pineal gland being open, right? They're sending messages, right? Yeah, right? Strange fruit, right? Sending messages, sending signals, right? Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs. Sam the Sham, right? Now Sam the Sham is the man in the middle with the turban, and then he has the jewel with the feather, like what Noble Jewel he has.
And Sham is the area just north of Palestine,
right?
Like
and Sham is also a Khan.
Double entendre.
Right, so he knows he's conning, and all his little brethren back there playing that they're Egyptians know that they're conning too.
Trying to look like man from
Trying to look like, no different than the people we showed before. Right? Dressing up like Moors.
Dressing up like man from Sham, and it's a big Sham.
Right.
Oh, but wait a minute. So what are you trying to say that they're saying there? You're saying
that he knows he's a Sham.
But he's mocking us. They know the history and we don't. You know what I mean? They're just blatantly. You know what I mean?
Say that one more time.
Like he knows that he's not the prophet.
I see.
And it's a sham. But because we don't know, and because we're not using our stuff, they're going to use our stuff. And they're going to go around the world touring and all that. Yeah, I think he's Palestinian or something like that or whatever. Right? This was a flyer for a jazz festival in Morocco called Casablanca. Right? Casablanca. And then you see that he's wearing a fez and he also has a bow tie on. Sending signals to people to let people know what's going on. Yeah, it's all Casablanca, but pictures tell 10,000 words. And the only people you know wear bow ties and wear fezzes is early NOI, foundation NOI, all the heads, right? Um, 1921, John Rowland Redd in St. Louis, Missouri, born to an African American family. The next year his family moved to Hannibal, Missouri, where they lived for 9 years. In 1931 the family moved to Columbia, Missouri. Redd's father was Ernest Redd and his mother was Doshia Onina Redd, of French and African blood. John Redd was a musician, composer, pianist, organist, and television pioneer. He was known as the godfather of erotica. And here's him. Right? Now, it's said that this brother had, I think, like 5 brothers or something like that, and all of them were fair skinned like him. passing for Europeans, passing for Hindus. But it's brothers, dark-skinned mother, dark-skinned father. And when we look at the statue that he's holding up, it's not African statue or black statue or whatever, that's Moorish statue. Like, that's what it would be called. And again, we're talking about Missouri, right? That was slave tree hanging state, right? 1921, 1931. How come he never got lynched or killed or whatever? Right? And again, we go to the Europeans jacking your stuff. This is the fabulous fez heads. Some Europeans that go around touring the world, running around Aladdin carpets and stuff like that, wearing fezzes. Yeah, the fez heads, right? Straight joke, right? Nothing but a joke, right? It's a joke to them, but they're sending a serious message to all these people who don't want to claim their birthright.
And it's interesting you talked about this Casablanca thing. They had a commercial that they aired on some show I was watching where it was, I think, about people going to Casablanca. And they had a man, and he had a fez on, first of all. And then the last image is a monkey, and they have a little tiny fez. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's this sort of mixed messaging
Repetitive theme.
that they're trying to give to you.
Right.
They're all wearing the fez, but then to try and give the fez back to us, they're trying to say that it's monkey business, right?
Right.
Or that it's a joke.
That's like the candy, the monkey candy.
That's right.
Right? The banana candy with the
Well,
monkey with the
it's
fez on.
also a symbolism of, because they're putting it right out there, and most of us are ignorant.
Right.
A monkey is ignorant compared to a man. They're dropping the fez on the monkey.
That's right.
Mm.
I mean, we're showing this on you. You don't even realize what we're dealing with.
That's right.
Like a monkey with a fez on.
Yeah.
Or a donkey carrying books.
Right. Right. Now this was a good one, because, come back again to the turban, but they're calling themselves the Egyptians. Right? Now they're gonna call themselves the Egyptians, but then they're gonna be wearing turbans with jewels on them, like Moors. Right? Which means they had to have knowledge of Egypt falling and the Moors being the custodians of Egyptian culture. Right? And they had to have had that kind of information to call themselves the Egyptians, but not dress up like Egyptians.
Just like Moors.
Dress up like Moors, but they're calling themselves the Egyptians. Right? Repetitive theme. Right? This was a good one. The turbans. So they're named the turbans, and they're wearing turbans, Moorish turbans. Again, jazz, blues, brothers.
Never hear about them.
And you never hear about these people.
Who?
The turbans.
That's what they're called?
Yeah, that's their name, the turbans. Right? And just like you're saying too, it's we have to wonder what is it that caused us not to find out about these people or hear about these people. How come these people aren't in the public eye? It's just like the brothers that's playing in the NFL, that's Ellen Bay, and we don't hear about those guys.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, yo.
In
In the NFL right now.
So
The man that
even if the ball gets thrown to the guy, they're saying, yeah, reception by number 36.
Yeah.
36, what a move.
right? Jesse Belvin, which who we showed earlier, he was signed to Aladdin Records. So now there's this brother now dressing up in a fez, and the record label that he's signed to is Aladdin. And then when we go watch, the Aladdin cartoon or whatever, Aladdin has a fez on riding on the carpet. And then he has a monkey, Apu, who has a fez on too. Right?
See, I think they're disconnecting you from its true origin.
Right.
And you're trying to then make
And
it someone else's.
that's the game. And the real term is disassociation, right? Disassociate us from what the real is, right?
Which is
Let me email that thing to you.
Yeah, that's
Right? Yeah,
See?
yeah.
All right,
All right.
no, no, it's not
Please,
bad.
bro.
That's that. But you see, that point is why I say they're nefarious. They ain't trying to give nothing back to us. They're trying to use and abuse it until it's run down, broken, and then say, "Here, take it." You know what I mean? Because if they were really trying to give it back to us, what's this all about?
Yeah, but to me, what I find the issue is that there's a true power in this stuff, right?
Right.
Always.
Yeah.
So they can't really run anything into the ground per se. They can run it.
They can,
Oh, actually,
because remember they work on the principle of, the whole Phoenix thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Out of the ashes comes a new world order.
Right.
So something has to burn first.
Right.
There has to be ruined first before something new comes.
Right.
Now, whether the new thing is what they're hoping it is, or
Right.
whether all our prophecies from the prophets about an antichrist coming and then a true Messiah coming and dealing with that and bringing back a true righteous world order. You know what I mean? Imam Mahdi alayhi salam and all those things. Muhammad, you know what I mean? So they're not. They know this stuff is gonna happen because they, like I said, they're the enlightened ones. They're the illuminists.
Right.
They know what's going on. It's just like if I know that I'm gonna be caught for something, and I'm amongst a whole bunch of people, misery loves company. If I know I'm gonna get punished, I want to bring all y'all in on the witness. So we're all getting licked. I'm not feeling so bad because everybody is a herd mentality. It's
Right.
psychology.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is what they're dealing with. They're trying to make a big mess right now.
Right.
They don't want to give it up as pristine. They want to run it, mash up, and then say, "Yo, actually, they want to hold it. They want to mash it up and bring it back and hold it in their new utopian,
Their paradise.
Orwellian paradise." But it's not going to work out that way.
I think they talked about the karmic debt too, because if we're all doing badness, and they can't really be held for their badness, right? If we're all
Right.
committing crime,
Right.
then how can you hold us above these guys, right?
And
It's not only about that. It's not only about that, because even if you're getting the same degree of punishment,
Right.
but you see everybody else getting it, it's psychologically, it helps with you psychologically. Whereas if you're the only one getting beat, but you see everybody, it's like during Ramadan and I'm fasting.
Yeah.
And I'm at a work where nobody else is fasting.
Yeah, everyone's
It
eating.
wears on me, I know if I was in Tanzania, where the wife's from, and everybody's fasting, they say nothing. But when I'm the only one, it wears on you.
Right.
Psychologically. You know what I mean? That's the mentality.
Well, I think that's part of their. I think you're right. That's part of their game, or part of the whole setup, right? To wear on you, to wear you down, right? So you're going to give in.
No different than what we were talking about earlier with going to court and have you come back again, and come back again,
Trying to bear
and
you
come
down
back
and
again.
make you give up and
Right.
throw up the white flag.
Yeah, right. When she's up the white flag, then they're not giving you mercy. They're taking your life. They're taking your head.
You don't get no credit for all your,
You know what I mean? Right.
struggles. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Value, resource value.
Straight,
Dead.
straight.
On paper and then in reality.
Right.
And what you realize too, the other part of it is all they're getting paid to go to be there.
Of
Right.
course,
Right.
you're losing pay to be there.
You're losing pay.
Right.
So they can. That's their job. That's their job. That's
Yeah.
their job to be there, sucking your energy.
That's the
Yep.
curse. That's the
Yep.
curse through their casting spells on
The
you.
vampirism.
And in the end, what they're wanting you to do is plead guilty to everything, so then you accept the karmatic debt,
Right.
right? Oh, because what they'll say to you, hey, plead guilty to this, you
Yeah.
get a lesser
You get a
charge.
lesser
Assume the responsibility of the whole charade,
Yeah.
all through consent.
And also too, with them not receiving that karmic debt is a lot of the time too is because we have their name, and name denotes possession. So if we have their name and they do something, more than likely it's going to be transferred to us because we got their name, just like the debt. That they're taking all these bonds and they're selling them to other people around the world with names on it that we're gonna go say, well, I should file this contract to go claim that name when we don't even know where that debt is right now.
You see, this is why you see black magic, all magic. I think we discussed before. deals with laws, deals with
Of course
rules.
it does.
Yeah.
Because if go outside, that's why the judge has to maintain his honor. If he gets outside of honor, his spelling has no power.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But
So
also, I think we talked about this before too. There has to be a collusion. You, as the person that the spell's been put on, have to somehow accept some of his stuff.
consent. That's why in Islam, everything's about niyyah, intention. You know what I mean? If you
Purpose.
like we're told,
Intent before action.
exactly. If you intend to do a good deed and you do it, you get 10 reward. You don't intend to do a bad deed and you don't do it, you get a reward. You don't intend to do a bad deed and you do it, you're absolved because you didn't consent to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everything in law, everything in the universe deals with consent.
Right.
You understand? And once you consent, liable. You know what I mean? Whether absolute liability or shared with liability, it's liability.
Regardless, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They may have a responsibility, but sometimes if you consent to absorb that responsibility, not just partner in it, you're screwed, man. You have to sign off your whole existence. You know what I
The
mean?
last thing I realized too, which was everything is about energy. Last thing, the table, ground, our talking, all of it,
Vibration.
thought, it's all energy.
Yeah.
I've been trying to step into that realm.
Yeah.
It's hard because
Because
this
there's
physical,
so much physical stuff.
it's so much physical.
We're in a
That's where the soul,
three-dimensional
that's where the
reality.
soul resides, right? And the spirit resides in energy.
Yeah.
Everything's about energy, right? And that's where, through the physicalness of energy, your intent is what.
It plays out because energy never dies.
That's
It
right.
changes form and
That's
always
right.
comes
That's
back.
right.
You know what I mean? So what you put out never comes back.
That's right. It's ebb and flow, contraction, expansion, all of that stuff.
Interaction.
It recreates, it does not dissipate.
That's right.
Right.
Changes its form.
My brothers, I want to say that I'm grateful to be here to open. And we having a discourse on divine principle. Divine principle being primary energy, primary creative energy, and the contingent energy patterns that exist within the realm of created form and energy. What I mean by that is we talking about that everything that has form and formless, as we understand formlessness, has energy base. And this energy is moving towards a consciousness that is timeless, universal, unending.
Right.
Yes. We call it God consciousness. We call it return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and its messenger, depending upon your madhab, your school of thought. But at this juncture in time, because of who we are as a nation, splintered and marginalized, not knowing ourselves, we have this business of resistance. I think we all are in a state and a mode of resistance. Some understanding comprehensively well what we are resisting against, whether it be within ourselves or outside of ourselves, because what we are resisting outwardly is part of who we are inwardly, because we, in our lesser stages of realization, be it be our father or our mother, or their parents before them, because of the partial state of ignorance in which they lived and procreated, we have elements of this ignorance within us that we are resisting against, even by our engagement in folly. If we were enlightened, the folly will naturally fall away because of the state of enlightenment.
Right.
But because enlightenment comes in contingent stages and contingent realities, we are awakened in one small contingency, but the one larger than that, we are not so awakened.
Right.
So we walk briskly and firmly in one and we stumble in the other, until we learn how to walk in that one, and we
Then
are
adds
constantly
on to the-
expanding and
So on,
expanding
so on.
until we become congruent with the first principle. That's talking metaphysical
Right,
language.
for sure.
The reality is, though, my brethren, is for us as a nation, all the centrifugal parts, the whole is greater than the sum total of the parts. Our resistance as a nation is to inform all of those who seek to be informed, because not all of us are going to accept being informed.
Right.
That's the struggle. That's where the resistance is.
Yes.
We think, you see, the man, the status quo, the system, call it whatever you may, we know they are thieves. We know they are most sophisticated in their thievery. They know that they are. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to them in the Quran as munafiqun, the hypocrites, because they cover over the truth.
Right.
And they know it.
And they know it. They
know
are
it.
fully aware.
Right.
So it is an essential part of their MO to keep us splintered, divided, self-degrading, indulgent in that which inhibits illumination,
Keeps us in the
and
lower
it keeps
self.
us in a state of apathy and lethargy.
Right.
And my question to us, I am 55 years old, brethren. My question to myself and to all of my brethren, contemporaries and elders, is how do we harness the energies that is divine within all of us, so that we can break this muted state of being that we are in? How do we begin to create this effulgence within ourselves without the existence of the ego, so that in our walking, in our dancing, in our talking, in our feeling, in our interacting, we feel the mind becomes a part of the heart, not the heart a part of the mind.
Right.
You see, the receptacle, the Prophet of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, says, there is a piece of flesh in man. If it is good, all of him is good.
Right.
And if it is corrupt,
All of them is corrupt. Most definitely.
And that is where the tree and the fig and the tree and the what
this is
comes
where the
from
tree of life ought to reside. Now we're coming to the high principle, the tree of life, which we are all parts of.
Right.
We are part of it. But if we understand the principle of the tree and what is the function and the functionality of the tree in the greater scheme of things, we understand it is to purify, to feed, to nurture, to give shelter, to create security.
Right.
I'm saying we miss the forest for the trees. We. When we are sustaining ourselves on the same energy and we are not polluting it with toxic elements that affect the lush greenery of the forest that is our nation,
which is like poisonous water.
we become poisoned
Right.
from within.
Right.
Now because of the nature of the tree that has this ability to irrigate through the process of chlorophyll, to resuscitate and to cleanse and purify and to create new cycles. To me, my brethren, subjectively, it says to me, we have to find a common ground. You alluded to it in your email to me. We have to find a common ground where we understand the integral nature of each other in the collective.
We were talking about this earlier before the brother came.
Until we understand our position, our vital position in the collective, I feel, in my understanding of spirituality, we have negated the primary principle.
Of course, definitely. That's mathematics. and if I can add a little rebuttal to that, one of the main poisons, probably the main poison they throw in to poison our water, all right, is sectarianism.
Of course.
Because there's a people. Somebody might say alcohol and gambling. No, because nations gamble together.
Mm-hmm.
They drink alcohol together.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? They shoot guns together.
So you know what?
But what keeps people apart, like when I tell people, like I was saying to you earlier, when I tell people in my community, a lot of them, that I hang with the Moorish Science Temple brothers, a lot of them have a lot of negative things to say. And what I say to them, I said, listen, we come together under Allah. Understand? We all have different doctrines and different ideas, but every nation has different doctrines and ideas. The Spanish you have Catholic Spanish, you have Protestant Spanish, you have Muslim Spanish,
Spanish,
you have atheist Spanish, but they are Spanish.
Yeah.
And when it comes to a Spanish cause, they are there.
Right.
So this is why
We are
saying.
a nation before we are anything else.
Exactly.
I profoundly believe in the principle of nation. National. This is why when you said to me that
Which
you
is
come,
because nation comes from natal,
Right.
right? Which is from birth.
it's what nurtures you. Your nation is what nurtures you. I am
mother.
I am, yes, brethren, the female principle.
Ummah. Ummah. In Arabic, Ummah, nation is mother.
You have to.
And I think you touched on it before when what you're saying was secularism, which I think is belief, faith, and fruition, which is what Noble Joe was talking about. It is, first of all, our belief. If our belief is corrupted, then our faith is going to be
Absolutely.
corrupted. And if our faith is corrupted, then the fruition of that faith is the poison.
All your creativity is poisonous.
Right.
I believe it. Now, hear me now. It is difficult, if not near impossible. It's highly improbable that you could teach a man that has not been granted guidance, or who does not submit to guidance, that he must believe in Allah, the one, the first principle, the one, the very first timeless, immeasurable, incorruptible principle. Because that is the return. To not believe in that is to inhibit your ability to return to original.
Because the basis of the false belief is that if you don't believe you're one and you believe you're separate from one, then you can never go back to one. That's what it is. So the very basis of it is that you are separated from the one.
You are
individual.
You are wayfaring without a rudder and radar. You are wayfaring without a rudder and a radar.
No R&R.
And just to touch on
brother.
just no, it's all good. This is what this is what we do. Don't even feel no ways about it, because I'm gonna read this right here. This is a chapter 1 in the Moorse holy book that we call the Holy Quran as well, right? Chapter 1. Time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time would come when it would end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite. All finite things are subject unto change. All finite things will cease to be, because there was a time when they were not. The bodies and souls of men are finite things, and they will change. From the finite point of view, the time will come when they will be no more. But man himself is not the body nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. Creative fate gave man to spirit man a soul that he might function on the plane of soul. Gave man a body of flesh that he might function on the plane of things made manifest. Why did creative fate give to spirit man a soul that he might function on the plane of soul? Why did creative fate give to soul a body of the flesh that he might function on the plane of things made manifest? Now hear now, ye cherubim, seraphim, angels, and ye men. Hear now, protoplast and earth, and plant and beast. Hear now, creepy things of earth, fish that swim, birds that fly. Hear now, winds that blow, thunders and lightnings of the sky. Hear now, the spirits of fire, of water, of earth, of air. Hear now, everything that is or was or evermore will be, for wisdom speaks from out of the highest plane of spirit life. Man is a thought of Allah, and thoughts of Allah are infinite. They are not measured by time, for things that are concerned with time begin and end. The thoughts of Allah are the everlasting. The thoughts of Allah are the everlasting of the past unto the never-ending days to come, and so is man the spirit man. But like every other thought of Allah was but a seed that held within itself the potencies of Allah, just as the seed of any plant of earth holds deep within itself the attributes of every part of the especial plant. So spirit man, as a seed of Allah, held deep within himself the attributes of every part of God. Now seed are perfect as the source from which they come, but they are not unfolded into life made manifest. The child is as perfect as the mother is. So man, the seed, must be deep planted in the soil that he might grow, unfold, and does the bud unfold to show the flower. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was full ordained to be Lord of the plane of soul and the plane of things made manifest. So Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth his human seed into the soil of soul. It grew apace, and man became a living soul, and he became the Lord of all the kingdom of the soul. Heart, now let every creature hear, the plane of soul is but the ether of the spirit plane vibrating not so fast. And in the slower rhythm of this plane, the essences of life are manifest. The perfumes and odors, the true sensations, and the all of love are manifest. And these soul attributes become a body beautiful. A multitude of lessons man must learn upon the plane of soul. And here he tarries many ages until his lessons are all learned. Upon the boundary of the plane of soul, the ether began to vibrate slower still, and then the essences took on a final garb. The perfumes and the odors and the true sensations of all of love were clothed in flesh, and man was clothed in flesh. Perfected man must pass through all the ways of life, and so carnal nature was fully manifest, a nature that sprang forth from fleshly things. Without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength, and thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. And so this carnal nature soon became a foe that man must fight, that he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. Let everything stand still and hear. Man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, of plant, of beast, but he gave up his birthrights just to gratify his lower self. But man will regain his lost estate, his heritage, but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Yea, he must suffer trials and temptations manifold, but let him know that cherubim and seraphim that rule the stations of the sun, and spirit of the mighty Allah who rule the solar stars are his protectors and his guide, and they will lead to victory. Man will be fully saved, redeemed, and perfected by the things he suffers on the plane of flesh and on the plane of soul. When man has conquered carnal things, his garb of flesh will have served its purpose well, and it will fall, will be no more. Then he will stand untrammeled on the plane of soul, where he must fully complete his victories. Unnumbered foes will stand before man upon the plane of soul. These he must overcome, yea, overcome every one of them. Thus, hope will ever be his beacon light. There is no failure for the human soul, for Allah is leading on and victory is sure. Man cannot die. The spirit man is one with Allah. And while Allah lives, man cannot die. When man has conquered every foe upon the plane of soul, the seed will have fully opened out, will have unfolded in the holy breath. The garb of soul will then have served its purpose well, and man will need it never no more. And it will pass and be no more, and man will then attain unto the blessedness of perfectness and be one with Allah. I just want to read that just to
give thanks, brother.
I just wanted to say,
be right in tune with what you're saying.
Explains about that. You say it's chapter 1, but really it's not. It's supposed to be chapter 0.
Right. Ultimately, it's chapter 0.
0,
Yeah.
right? Because it talks about the mathematics behind all of our births and the 9 months and all. So it's
Exactly.
really 0, which is the complete circle.
Exactly.
Right? So, and what I realize is this is our prophecy laid out for us, right?
Yeah.
This is our path, right? There is no failure for us, but once they get you believing in some other stuff, your energy,
Believing it's optional.
right?
Right.
And they say if you're even a small step off the path, you're miles.
Yeah.
That's what they say, right?
Which is going back to what the brother was saying about, nation and nationality.
NATO,
And NATO and mother, and the point of all of these, all these pictures that we're going to, all these so-called entertainers or whatever, which aren't man, which is really Allah in flesh, showing us our estate, showing us our birthright, showing us that we do belong to a nation, and all we have to do is to claim it.
Brethren, it is one negative principle that I have learned in my spiritual wayfaring that I must avoid. One. And it has many brain children, but it's one element of human activity that must be avoided. And it's any form of oppression, any form of repression, any form of inhibiting the creative movement of human energy.
Unnatural flow.
Any form of it. As there is a first principle that is divine and creative, that is the counter principle to it. Because it inhibits everything that is divine, everything that is divine and sanctified in the divine principle. Repression, oppression counters it.
That is what the basis of all of this stuff is.
That's the Tira Tower of existence.
Right.
It's as simple and as profound as that.
Right.
And the equity scales of justice.
Right.
Because wherever there is justice, brethren, it doesn't matter your nationality. Wherever there is justice, you polarize towards it. There is an earth, wind, and fire. My brother, I was sustained on them. We're speaking about nurture. I was sustained on them in my early years of sustained. They sustained me. Between Earth, Wind, and Fire and Stevie Wonder, they sustained me. They kept my hope alive, so to speak, from their rhythms, their energy and their
what
rhythms.
you realize too, when they talk about the universe, there's a universal breath and a universal rhythm. And this is the manifestation of music of that on the lower level.
Right.
And you were talking about stuff about because you were talking about the as it was on the lower half and the higher half. As it is below, it is above.
Yes.
Right. Wow. Repetitive themes. Right. So as we continue on, right, start getting into the hip hop imagery now. Right. So we got 4 righteous teachers. Right. As the Moors teach, that Star of David that the Jews jacked is the symbolic representation of the fez.
But which is really the symbolic representation of us.
Of us.
In the lower and the higher self.
And higher self, right.
2 triangles.
Two triangles
the
coming.
hex alpha.
Exactly. Right.
It also represents
the Star of David as well, right?
Above, so below.
Right.
Which is, you see, David was using given that symbol, or was allowed to use that symbol, because it represented the kingdom of God real on earth. Remember, David united the Israelites as a kingdom, as a nation, and then as a nation, they then were the dominant force for all of the known world.
Right.
How we subjected Queen of Sheba and summoned her, and all the different stories about how David had tribute from all the nations around. So, and he ruled with the Sharia, the law of God. You understand?
I can sense it was like a pure line to God in a sense, and that's what allowed him to then, once you are along that path, everything else.
It's all about alignment, brother.
And not only that, that symbol is going to come back to its full dominance again. If you know anything about the Shia Ibn Ashari traditions about when Jesus and Imam Mahdi, Allahumma salli Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, return, they're going to use that symbol again. And many of the so-called Arabs and Muslims will reject the Imam because he has this symbol, and they'll say that's a Zionist symbol, that's a Jewish symbol, without knowing the true history and the meaning of the symbol. It's a symbol of as above, so below, the kingdom of God on earth.
What you're saying, which is the oppression of the energies.
Yes,
Right.
So when they return, this golden age comes back. When I told them they want a different golden age, but it's not going to happen all they want.
It's not going to happen by their definition. They want it, but it's not going to happen by
Not
their
the way they
definition.
expect it. You know what I'm
They're
saying?
trying to control that through our beliefs.
Through manipulation.
Right.
And oppression.
Yes.
And repression.
And mostly oppression. Oppressing your
The
energies.
stories
Flow
all
of
the
energies.
the stories in the Bible about the lion laying next to the lamb,
Yeah.
and no enmity between them, and
It will
peace
come to
on earth
pass.
and the kingdom of
It
God on
must come
earth.
to pass.
That will be a worldwide establishment of David's microcosm of Israel ruling the known world.
No,
You understand?
in the on the Circle 7 mentions that, right? The same thing with the lamb and the lion laying together, right? And when you were speaking about David and the manifestation of the kingdom of heaven on earth, right? And him freeing the Israelites as a nation, we have to keep in mind to backtrack to Ruth, who was a Moabite, who Noble Drew Ali said Moors are modern day Moabites, right? So if Ruth was a Moabite and Noble Drew Ali came way after her saying that the Moors are the ancient Moabites, then that means David was a Moabite, because David also comes from that line, and so does Solomon, and so does Joshua.
Without argument, that Solomon, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "I am black and comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem."
Right. and in order to get to Jerusalem, you have to go through Moor's Gate.
Of course.
Right? So it's all coming back to what the real birthright is. We can make claims, right? We can make claims of connecting ourselves to all these nations or whatever, but there is only one nation, right, that all so-called black, Negro, dark skin, whatever people are supposed to go back to, and that's the Moorish nation, right? You got real rock sand. Now, real rock sand in the
This is
in the first Morse code, right? We showed Real Roxanne's album cover with her wearing the Gucci fez with the tassel and everything, right? Now here she is wearing the turban with the jewel on it. Not only is she wearing the turban with the jewel, but when we go to her, when we go to this, we see that she's wearing the turban with the jewel and with the feather as well.
What's the significance of the feather now?
The significance is it signifies sovereignty. It signifies divine connection. That's why the jewel is also represented. You know, it's like the feather is like the energy coming out of the third eye, going up towards the next level.
It's right? Like it could also be considered an antenna for a
antenna, right? Like many different ways to look at it, right? Wanted to also show Felice with her turban, with the jewel.
Oh.
Right? Yeah, you know. Yeah, screaming down the place. I hate you so much right now and all that. Yeah. Right? Wearing the jewel and the turban. Right? And don't forget, you know, that was around the time when she was with Nas, and Nas came out in the Nigger album, say, you know, Noble Drew Ali is the one that came with it, right? The problem is we started thinking like the colonists, to Noble Drew Ali started dropping that consciousness, right? So even he knew, right? And there's our boy, you know, all these tight pants guys.
Oh yeah.
right? Making all making all these crazy songs and whatever, right?
Oh, Swiss Beats,
right? Now Swiss Beats dress up. You got a turban on with the jewel.
Official,
You know, it looks quite official. You know what I mean? And he's looking like Captain Fez right now, right? Captain Turban, right? You got his jewel on, right? And ultimately, like we're saying, you know, every knee shall bow to Islam, right? Because that's really what this is really representing on another level. Not just Moors, but also what our true religion is. And what we have to go back to in order to make it back to that, like you were saying, that one perspective.
A place of safety, brother.
Right?
Place
One
of union.
perspective, right? We already know Andre used to rock his turban, right? You know, Andre had his turban up, right? This one might get some people,
It's my boy, man.
right? There's Beyonce with her turban.
I don't know what type of frequency she's letting out nowadays, though.
Yeah, hey, you know,
Money frequency.
it's just like when we speak about and Solange too, right? So the two sisters rocking the turban, right? And remember, and remember, you know, we make the joke that Beyonce was a bae once. That's why her name is Beyonce.
She once was a
She once was a bae, but she sold out. She sold out her birthright. Bae once. That's her name.
Three ones.
Bae once. Beyonce. She's really bae once.
She was once a Jedi.
She was once a Jedi and gave up her
She
lightsaber.
was the Emperor, I think, you know what I mean?
Right? Yeah. Right?
Oh.
And then, like we were saying, with the judges, right? You know, they just like her to wear two hats, right? This picture was, you know, same thing. Rapper, singers, turban. You just put that up in, like there's pictures of people, like, you know, hundreds of people. I just picked hers because everybody knows who she is. You know what I mean? But all of them, all these entertainers or whatever, wearing turbans.
That one, that top one,
You know what I mean?
is like actually
Yeah, like solid.
attention to that.
Yeah.
You know,
attention
solid.
to the way that
most of
that
them
was done.
is initiated into the darker side of the Illuminati, right? And so
Right.
once they get past the blue degrees, they have to get to the Shriner
Right.
degrees, right?
Right.
So they're getting initiated into this, but
See, I
on the
think-
other side of the
I
fence,
think,
you
I think
understand?
this is where you touched on it, which is that basically everyone needs their bread, right? To
Right.
eat,
Yeah.
right? Because really, the one doesn't really worry about money or any of this stuff, right? But
Right.
the reality behind the lower self is you're worried about
Word,
that stuff.
yeah.
So they, at that point, they're oppressing you, right? Rather than being able to be free, hey, you want to live well, you got to start functioning in our
Function our
our
jurisdiction.
area, in
Yeah.
our
It's almost
jurisdiction.
like they're saying that to Beyonce and them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Well,
because they've got the natural.
Well, my brethren, they're saying that to all of us.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
They say that to all of us.
Sellouts.
They say to all of us, look, listen, they define education for us.
That's right.
They define, imagine that.
Happiness.
They
define
define
happiness.
education for you.
There's not one other thing that's going to cause those people some issues. I think it's that. But go on.
But that's it. That's why I said it.
Yeah.
If they define education for you,
What do you know?
what do you, that's what I know.
You know what I had to say?
Did you get me?
This is
You know-
before I came into this movement. I had a thought. I said, you know, when you go to school and you're learning about geography and history, which is all there, made up lies.
Yeah.
I said, what if they were teaching you star traveling? What if they were giving you education about
Real
stuff,
deal, yeah.
real stuff?
Education that is applicable.
Right.
Instead of reinforcing
Yes.
the subjective
What I thought to
position
myself
of
is
society.
really we are the manifestations of what
Of what we were taught.
What we've learned.
Yeah.
So if we're taught to walk on the ground,
Or how we were trained. Yeah.
how we were trained,
Yes.
then we're going to walk on the ground.
Then we'll never levitate.
That's right.
And that's what you want to say.
Right.
I want to levitate. I want a full space.
And you know
I
what?
want a full
And
time.
watch this. And this is how you know that it's true. What they say is, you know how they tell you you're only using 10% of your brain. It's the other 90% that's really, and it's 9.
Yeah,
again, which
yeah.
is really going to free you.
Yeah.
Right, but they've got you trapped
Yeah.
in that 10%.
But the thing is, it's like going back to we come from the source. Like the Quran says, we come from Allah, we go back to Allah. To Allah we return. No doubt. And it also confirms that we all come into this world on the right path.
Yes.
We're innocent. It's our
Get
parents and
distorted,
society that
The
distorts us.
conditioning and it's the prejudices ingrained in the conditioned responses that becomes our culture.
And manifestation of this,
That is
manifestation of this is
frightening,
me
Say that one
as
more
a
time.
child.
Sorry, can I ask you to say that last? What you said?
The prejudices that become our manifested culture determines our behaviors all the time. That's why if you take a brother from the Americas and you drop him in the Caribbean, he looks the same, but his nuances are different.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
His fears and his apprehensions are different.
Right.
His sense of generosity and fraternity is different.
Right.
Because he's been living in a very paranoid type culture.
Right.
So he has assumed the elements of that culture.
Right.
When you put him in a different one, if even it is liberated, it takes him a very long time to put down his conditioned response.
Exactly. And
This
this is into my point.
But hold on, and that speaks to everyone on the planet.
Absolutely.
So go on.
And then this leads into my point about the condition, about being on the right path. And as we're being distorted, the strong ones of us can recognize the distortion and us being massaged and resisted from a young age, and we're the ones called troublesome kids in class. Because I remember in elementary school when the section we all went through, but it's the standard curriculum, where they're teaching me that my people, I am a slave.
Yes.
It was at this time that we freed you.
Right.
You understand?
And that goes on to the further.
This is what nature regulated you to,
Right.
and we unnaturally
Superior to
took you out of that.
Yeah.
And
So
then
so you should be
So now, and not only that, now hold on, let's stay on the same line here. Not only is that having an effect on me, bringing me down, but Johnny Caucasian here is reading this. Yo, look at nigga boy.
Yeah. He's getting a boost.
Yo, look at nigga boy. Yo, me run this and you only here because me run this and me let you be here. You understand?
and
The cycle keeps going on from there. You understand? Where it goes into their hiring practices, they're giving them apartments and stuff like that.
I just want to interrupt you.
So before you do, the point is about us being on the right path, and we come in here and it's still in us.
Yeah.
To the point that even when it's trying to be taken out of us, without any pre-coaching,
Right.
it's naturally in there saying, hold on, because I'm sitting here in school saying, no, this ain't right.
your psychic conditioning
This is
what
not
you're
right,
speaking to.
and I'm not, and where this is coming from is from a not right place.
Right.
And all of this stuff in here must not be all right.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I had enough sense to realize that, you know, if I play along to a certain extent to dodge the radar,
Yeah, of course.
but no over is all it is. You understand? I don't understand or overstand what's going on. You understand?
Straight.
But the next part of it, what I realized was the religion, which is bringing us, which should be our saving grace. They bastardized and changed all of that.
Right.
So when you finally go back to the part where you could hopefully find some solace, you're lost.
So
Yeah.
that's why we search and get to where we are now, right?
Because it's all the Christianity stuff.
You
in
can't
this
navigate your way.
That's right. Because
And
even
then-
when you get to what they say is your saving grace,
Right.
is really the thing that's got you most
Going
lost.
away. Yeah.
Got you get the biggest
It's
change.
a negative labyrinth.
It's
It's a labyrinth of negative.
No, you see what they do? They
It's a
send you to
life
the
goal, but
education,
it's a
right?
change.
They send you to the education, you realize you're fucked, right, till the end. And then when you get out and you say, let me find God, God ain't even there.
Yeah, when you go out there.
You know what I would like to share with us as we on the subject of education, and hear me please,
Sorry.
brother. Education is a preliminary stage to enlightenment.
Yes.
Think of it in those terms. Education is a preliminary stage to enlightenment. If your learning, the continuum of your learning is not intended to take you along the path of enlightenment, to teach you who you are, one, to teach you who you are in relation to your immediate environment, two, to teach you who you are in relation to your extended astral cosmic environment, three, then it means your education is not expansive.
Right.
Your education must first it must sublimate your negativities and expand your positivities.
Otherwise, it's restricting you and constricting
It's
you.
repressive.
Exactly.
That's my point.
In this chain.
That's my point.
You think it's a life
It's repressive and oppressive.
Right.
It cannot be congruent with enlightenment. Any education, no matter what credential they put at the end of your tenure, PhD, MA, whatever, is a lie. It's a trick. They've tricked you because now you feel you have arrived. Look at many of us who get some credentials. Not all of us, but look at many of us who get some credentials. They think they have moved away.
Yeah.
They actually move away.
They move
away. I'm getting out of the ghetto. I'm going to the suburbs where there's less of me, where there are less sensibilities about me. I want to be assimilated in this environment. It's a trick.
Yeah.
But then what they do is they reward you for that.
But that's the idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
If education has no reward, then there's no point to it. The reward for it in the sense of us seeking enlightenment is that we come to know who we are. Not as consumers,
not as special,
not as victims,
not anything else,
but as people who determine their return because they understand their beginnings.
Right.
So the education system doesn't want to educate you. It wants to make you a specialist in one little finite little something.
Yeah.
You understand?
And it's finite.
And makes you an idiot and everything else.
Yeah.
You're not really being educated. You're being dumbed down. And they're closing all the light, everything, and then they're focusing on one light. And of course, when the light focuses, it's going to hit you strong. So you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to arrive with a PhD, but I can't even change my tire.
Right.
And really, what it's done is it's darkened everything else.
I can't fix my electric system in my house.
Right. Yeah.
You're desensitized. So now, when as a man with a PhD or whatever your credentials are, you driving your nice ride in your air-conditioned vehicle in the height of the summer, and you see a brethren or a sister, being wiped out halfway on the side of the street from a heat stroke, you are desensitized.
Right.
Oh, what's wrong with her or him? And you continue driving.
Why didn't she have her Benz air conditioning?
And you continue on. Well, look at my good fortune. I had the brains to do this, so I don't have to be like that.
Right.
And you drive on. But then you miss the point.
Yeah.
The whole point is missed.
Right.
Because you educate yourself to sensitize your humanity, your personhood, your divine aspects, all of it. Your quintessence, not your essence. Your quintessence.
Yes.
All of your major senses expanded, not in the first contingency, but in the cosmic astral planes. It's like your nervous system. All of these nerves are connected integrally with everything that is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not working.
We're not.
All the faculties are not awakened. So you can't see the suffering.
Otherwise
you can't connect to it.
And you're disabled.
That's what they've done.
That's where the repression. That's at least at that level. At least you are being repressive.
Right.
At that level, at the very least, you are being repressive because you're not seeing to the basic and fundamental needs of one who feels, sees, thinks, and reacts like you do, and you have the means for it.
Right. Yeah. All the people who are not paying their dues, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The highest form of it is to take arms and to say to the oppressor, no, I will not allow you. A man like me, Hussein, a man like me cannot pledge allegiance to a man like you.
Right.
I cannot do it.
Straight.
He says, oh swords, come and cut me asunder. A man like me cannot.
Yeah, Hussein.
Yeah, Hussein. Cannot. He says, I cannot. He could have. He says, but a man this station as a quintessential being does not allow him to do it.
Right. And that's even why, dealing with the music, that's why Michael Jackson came out to talk about Sony and punked off all those guys. The last little bit before they took him out.
Yeah.
Blew up there.
Yeah, blew up their
I
spine.
interview.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Let him know.
Like,
You know,
he came back. Michael came back. His whole family, half his family became Muslims, yo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was it quickly in a one sentence? What he
What was
said?
the
Talking about people calling on
Brethren,
Muslims.
if oppression, every form of it, if every form of oppression is eradicated from the drama of life, what is left?
Peace.
Alhamdulillah, Islam. You see, it's simple and profound, but this is what it is.
Yeah.
The most profound is in the very simple.
Of course it is.
Right.
Building,
Right.
growth.
The most profound is in the very simple.
That's why basically it's the seed, which is the simple thing which creates,
Which
Everything else,
which
brother.
creates oak trees. Been
Everything
here
else,
for
brother.
5,000 years.
and basically what they talk about the seed being thought too,
Right.
right? Thought.
Yes,
Exactly.
Simple
Right.
thought.
Thoughts are seeds, brother.
Right.
That's why when you call it dispersal of seeds.
Right.
When you see they begin to disperse, they burst open, and the air and the elements take them, and they begin to move over oceans.
I want to, they talk about the creation of the earth, and what they talk about is called fractal geometry, which everything is expanding just
Constantly,
slowly
and constantly.
in a little triangle.
Yes.
Everything is just
Yes, constant, eh?
and constantly
Yes,
all the time,
yes.
and that is the essence of life. It's
Right.
fractal geometry,
Right.
which is us just spreading all the time.
Sure.
So give thanks,
Right.
brother.
Yeah. We got about 15 minutes left, so we'll just fly through these last bit. Going back to the same thing about, things are, the most profound are simple. So this is from Helter Skelter, right? Operation Lockdown video, where everybody in the video dressing up like Indians. And they're around a campfire singing their lyrics. And it's brothers. They're not dressed like Africans. They're not dressed like, slaves. They're dressed up like natives, like indigenous people, right? Making the point that we are the indigenous people of the planet, right?
Locked down.
Locked down. Like we are that. We are the indigenous people of the planet.
That's what the song is about. It's talking
Right.
about making it.
Everything else is recessive.
Everything else is recessive, right?
Brothers, I have to go out for a few minutes.
No
I will
problem,
be
brother.
back.
All right.
inshallah.
Okay? Thank you.
Right? Another member, right? This is Brother Tech of Smith & Wesson. Right, here's his quote. I just finished a tattoo of an Indian chief on my back. I was inspired by a painting in an art gallery in Brooklyn and had the privilege of meeting the painter. The painting reminded me of my mom and my heritage. I wanted to get this done as a tribute to her. Right? So there's a brother from Brooklyn, rapper or whatever, has a big tattoo of an Indian chief on his back in honor of his heritage and his mom. Taking that same position that we're the indigenous people. You didn't get an African king on his back tattoo, right? You didn't get some Sumerian, Nuwapian, Nubian, Egyptian, whatever. You got an Indian chief.
Basically, along his lines too, all of this other stuff, they're all trying to sublimate this to make this something else. It's all a form of oppression.
It's all a form of oppression
too.
and repression.
You guys talk about tech. You talk about tech from Smith and Wesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Them man is straight out Muslim now. They're
Yeah, bearded up, beard gang and all that.
Yeah, man.
Right.
They did the Rasta thing and
You know what I mean?
what's his
I
name?
know, like went through it basically.
Yeah. Same like
True,
me. You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter what pot you go into. It's all got to come back to that same. If you investigate and open your eyes enough, it doesn't matter where you start, whether you're European or whether you're wherever.
It's coming right back.
If you look back and you look truth with a true
With a
eye,
true eye, you're
gonna have to come back to the same source.
And you have to give some credit to Beanie Siegel and to Freeway too, because they had a lot of influence on them coming to this. Beanie Siegel and Freeway. They left Rockefeller, and now they open it in one of Beanie Siegel's songs. He straight out puts Jay-Z on glasses. Yo, something about something hurting them. You better watch who you're worshiping. You know what I mean? Tell them straight out, yo, you're on that devil thing, man. And everybody knows he's a Satan worshiper. No, he's a Satan worshiper. He's a Satanist. Beyonce, the whatever. Rihanna, what's that Brock job boy name again?
Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye and 22 Cent and
You know what?
And the game and all that.
Actually, got one question on the whole beyond Jay-Z, those type of people. Did you ever see a picture of Beyonce's physical flesh? Like her with a belly, actual large physical belly, like the flesh when she was pregnant.
I'm at a loss, bro.
I'm at a loss. I don't think I saw a big belly of her.
No, I don't
think so. You gotta check that out.
Gotta check that
I'm just like, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody.
Where was her belly?
I haven't seen it.
That leaves a lot.
I'm out of the loop. You know what I mean? Maybe I missed a picture or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
I did hear one picture of her stomach had a fold and women were like, that's unnatural.
You're talking to brothers who have cable and stuff.
No. I just thought about it the other day. I'm like, I haven't looked.
Yeah.
But I have not seen.
But I have not seen. Straight.
Right. Nor has anybody else.
That's very significant.
Right.
Because
9 months?
not in the public eye.
Right.
In the public
Because I mean, we can see Kardashians.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? Like.
That's exactly. That's exactly. Right.
Straight.
It should be like people buying pictures.
Straight. Controversial historian Mario Bonafini received hundreds of death threats and was actually forced into hiding after an unnamed insider leaked a pre-publication copy of his explosive new book, Julius Caesar Was Not Italian. And far from being a spoof, the book is backed up by decades of solid research that proves Caesar came to Rome from Ethiopia and was of Moorish descent. I printed the truth, and if the truth hurts, so be it, said Bonafini. Told me in a transatlantic telephone interview before death threats drove him into hiding last month. Caesar rose to power and ruled a Roman Empire that still stands as one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever seen. Italians have always been proud of the fact that they share a gene pool to produce such a man. But my research proves this pride was absolutely without bias. Caesar categorically was not Italian. So we go back to the quote, right? Solid research proves Caesar came to Rome from Ethiopia and was of Moorish descent.
And this is Big Daddy Kane wrote this book?
No, that's controversial historian Mario Bonafini.
Oh, okay, because
but that's why, that's why we're showing the long live the Kane right now, right? We didn't sit down as Caesar to prove that they're telling us about Moors, and then the cameos of Fez.
No doubt.
Right? So it's been in our face, and we just keep missing. Been in our face, right? James Crumpton, one of medieval times falconers with Dervish, a Lanner falcon at medieval times in Toronto. This was in the paper today, right? This was in the paper today, right? Last night I was working on. Now this is straight a lot, right? Last night I was working on the presentation, right? Today this is in the paper, right? Today this pop up. Why this pop up? Because I was researching Ghostface with the falcon on the arm, right? And Brother Jabbar Gaines Ale doing the lecture talking about, and it's on Skype. He was talking about the Moorish falconers and how they used to send out falcons and eagles or whatever to go scout territory, go steal enemies' maps and go steal enemies' food and all this stuff in order for them to beat them in war.
Remember the Arab sheikhs?
Yeah.
They keep this tradition
Right.
alive now with their sport falcon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which
And
is
then-
basically a tribute to that original falcon.
Which is what?
And when he said
Hannibal
that,
and the Carthage,
Yeah.
these drums.
exactly.
Mm,
And when
exactly.
he had said that, this is what came to my mind. You know, and this was one of the things, one of the first pictures that I had in my mind. I said, you have to do another Moorish hip hop presentation about, you know, and bring up Ghostface. And then the picture that I find is him with the 7, right? You know,
Those are my favorite rappers too.
he knows what's up. All these guys know what's up, right? True World Order presents Drew Easy Ali, the Legend of Ali. So go look this guy up on YouTube. Drew Easy Ali, the Legend of Ali, right? And hear what he's dropping. And you notice the pyramids in the back and all that. You know, we're gonna get confused because we see the shiny glitter chain, long chain hanging and all that, but you know, that's not what's going on, right? Not only him, Mr. Mother Effin Esquire, go Google him, and he has a song out called Noble Drew Ali. He's a rapper guy with gold teeth in his mouth and all that stuff, and when you hear the song, you'll see what's good,
Legend.
right?
Legend.
Mr. Esquire. And the song's called Noble Drew Ali. Just to push the fact that everybody knows about the Moors.
Have you heard it?
Yeah, I heard the song. The song's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. Yeah, the song's pretty crazy. I was fighting from posting it on Facebook last night because I wanted to pull back something for
As long as it's
the
partially okay. As long as it's healthy.
And then don't forget Heavy D and the boys, right? Rocking their fezzes. You know, right? Everybody's seen the album, the single cover. You know what I mean? Everybody's seen the video with them dancing with the fezzes on, and nobody really picked it up. Nobody had a clue what was going on,
Including me and you.
Time.
You know what I mean? Including me and you, right? This was something that just, you know, caught my attention. You know, this was a Diplomats mix CD, and they got pictures of these Arabs in turbans with missile launchers or whatever, right?
Okay.
But then they're repping some red, white, and blue eagle, right? That brother David Farrell broke down in the lecture that we did with him that eagle was once the Heru bird.
I was gonna say, it can be so similar.
Yeah,
and
you know what I
so
mean?
different.
It was the Heru bird at one time.
And that was the symbol of the Hebrews.
That was the symbol that Diplomats was using.
That eagle.
That eagle, yeah,
Yeah,
it was
but
the Heru.
The Heru bird was what?
The Heru bird was this.
That come from Egypt.
Yeah. Just showing that they knew what was up. You know what I mean? There might be some, you know, pink pants wearing
Look at
guys.
that other bird. I think that's almost the representation of the phoenix, isn't it?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Phoenix, which is
Right, that
rebirth.
you were talking about, the rebirth and all
You were
that.
talking
Yeah.
And then of course the eagle, which is the
Which is maybe the
form
maybe-
of government of the Romans
Right.
passed to, you know, from the Egyptians, Romans, which is the 2 wings, right wing, left wing. Then
Right.
the
Yeah,
Republic.
yeah,
No, but if you think about it, that eagle might be the manifestation of the phoenix in the physical form.
Right.
The phoenix being the spiritual,
Right.
and the
How being
eagle,
resurrected from the ashes.
and the eagle
Exactly.
being the physical, right?
Right. Can't forget, we got to bring up the Corsica Moor, Tupac Shakur, right? Always with his bandana, right? Repping the Corsica in our face. We don't pick up on it. Same thing with Nas, same thing with Prodigy, same thing with Jules Santana from Dipset, right? All these guys rocking the bandana, repping the Corsica, right? Gotta get some power up in there and ask our question, how come this pimp drug dealer is wearing a African pendant on his neck? Was he really pimping, or was he trying to send a subliminal to those who have eyes to see and ears to hear? Because I'm Your Pusher wasn't even about drugs. Right?
I feel was deeper than most people.
Enough people think, yeah.
Way deeper
Right?
than Jacob see what he's doing.
And we showed you first part of the Moorish lecture with Noriega putting up the 5 and the 2 like the Moors in the credit inserts of the CNN album. And then in his own album now, his solo album, comes out with the Super Thug video when these guys are running across the deserts in prison uniforms or whatever. They bump into this Arab in the Sahara Desert in a tent, and then they switch up into Moorish garb, and then for the rest of the video they're in Moorish garb rhyming. Right? Just making that point. Right? And lastly, to close out, the black and white checkered floor representing the floor of King Solomon's temple leads to 1, 2, and 3 steps representing various degree levels. Set upon the mosaic pavement are the 2 architectural pillars of Jachin and Boaz, surmounted by a blazing star with an open Bible below. And then we go to Genius, liquid swords, and then everybody's gonna say, oh no, you know, that's the chessboard, you know, that they're standing on a chessboard and their pieces on the chessboard. There's not no chessboard pieces. That's
Mix of the dark and the light.
right, the dark and the light, the Moors versus the Masons, right? Obviously, you know, Wu-Tang representing the Moors, and you know, everybody's slewing all the Masons in the lodge.
And there's also another meaning to the checkered floor, because Suleiman, Solomon, the prophet and king, he was given a prophecy over both man and jinn and the animals. He was given command over all areas of existence.
Right.
He used to summon the jinn, the animals and human beings. And jinn are the spirit realm, made of fire. And Allah has made barriers that you can't cross. You know what I mean? And that's through permission of the right laws and right tactics.
Right.
So Suleiman used to summon them, and used to summon them on the checkered floor, because the checkered floor represents the mixture, the coming together of the white representing what we can see, the physical, and the dark representing the unseen. The unseen.
Right.
So Masons, those Masons, you know, the nefarious ones,
Yeah.
they call their masters their hidden masters, you know, the Yodas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they summon them. That's why they do all their rituals on the checkered floor, because
Right.
then they communicate with their hidden
With the
masters
book, yeah.
on that. You know what I mean?
The more I study them, the more I learn they copied or attempt to copy our ancestors.
What?
And-
That's what I
Big
did.
Mm,
Pirating, man.
Yeah.
Like they want to
True
make a big deal
pirates,
about
yeah.
people pirating internet stuff.
Yeah, pirating DVDs or
We don't bother
whatever.
continue with that until they deal with a whole
It's not
nation
the
of pirating.
The real pirates. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. They're doing the straight pirating.
That's why taxi captain is considered a way of transportation, transportal. You know what I mean? Trans to a different pole of black and white. That's why taxis in New York always had that checkered thing around it. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? It's the
Yeah.
means of transportation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Esoteric symbology.
Exactly.
Straight. So once again, don't forget, right? The centennial commemoration, October 20th, 2013. You know what I mean? If you are available, it will be good to have your presence there. If you're not available, make sure you make contact with the people running it to get your name on the census, because it's going down. System's crashing and we got to pick up the pieces right now. Right? There's all the information right there. You know, it's going to be posted on YouTube, so you can pause this later. And also too, don't forget Noble Fonteus this weekend. Canaanland Moors presents Emergency Preparedness, Dehydration, and the Way to Wealth. May 26, 2013. And also, don't forget, in June, we got Grand Sheik Nature, we got Grand Sheik Jelani Bey, we got Grand Sheik Taj Tweet Bey, and we got Big Brother Hakeem Bey. And and we just got brother Obashango L that's going to be doing his lecture on he's basically in Arkansas. He's in Arkansas, and they just arrested the Secretary of the Treasury or the State Treasurer or something like that for not for no, I don't even know what the name is.
Maybe?
He's going to be talking about why they arrested the state treasurer, because he sent them writs, right? He sent them bonds or whatever, and then they went against the bonds and they were trying to cash bonds and all this type of stuff. That
They sent the treasurer writs,
yeah,
and the treasurer didn't deal with them properly.
didn't deal with them properly, and they locked up the treasurer. She's serving 20 years right now.
For real.
Yeah.
Big time. That's boom. So they actually recognize that.
Yeah.
that
So
lot.
yeah.
Nice.
Right.
They're starting to wake up. The system is starting to
The
wake up.
system is even waking up right now.
The system's awake, but the system's tentacles and pawns are starting to wake up.
Right. You know what I mean? And like brother Fonte said, you know, he got letters from or phone calls when he was speaking with the state, and the state's telling him, you know, well, don't worry about the big people, just get the pawns off the board.
What do you mean by that?
Because the pawns control
Because the pawns are the only ones that's controlling the
They're
stuff.
the hands.
The pawns are the hands.
What do you mean, like these secretaries or
Yeah,
whatever?
the secretaries, the little popo,
The cops, for instance,
the cops and these
You
people,
gotta
get them out the way,
bailiffs and all that kind of stuff.
because they have their own agenda.
Yeah, and because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are actually
causing
facilitating doing all the trouble,
Exactly.
right? Because
They're
it's
the ones
not,
causing
it's
the
not
trouble.
Mayor Ford having the
Right.
problem, it's the police.
Right. Even though he has problems.
So if we get them on side, if we get them on side and we're in some court litigation,
Right.
then the court officials won't let the judge pull nonsense.
Right.
You know what I
No,
mean?
but what we're about shutting them down.
Right.
We're about
Shut down the
canceling
ponds.
the ponds, because
Yeah.
the ponds are the ones who do all the
Ponds are the ones that are
Exactly.
doing the work.
Getting them on our side,
Right.
waking them up.
I'll say Islam to everybody online.
Islam.
Peace and love. We just close out with the prayer.
All right.
Yeah, you know, and just for, you know, I want to say give thanks for the brothers for their input tonight, because tonight
Great
was,
class tonight.
tonight was a good one. That was a good one. Father left, two on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth, peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my
and
salvation
my salvation,
by night
by night,
and by day.
and by
To His
day,
holy prophet,
through His holy
Abu
prophet,
Juali.
Abu Juali,
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Hotep. Peace, Moors.
You have to fly out soon.